Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Give your readers and audience a good reason to keep reading. Let me preface this episode. This is episode number 15, season 5 of the Online Prosperity Experience. And I'm actually regretting something. I should have called this podcast The Grapevine or The Water Cooler. Simply because this is where I come and snitch on my clients or prospects or anyone that I would have spoken to on the call. And they would have given me content for this podcast. So today we're going to be looking at, how to get your readers to read more of the stuff that you're putting out, and or maybe listen to your podcast, and also, get them to really get to know, like, and trust you. Now, I should also maybe say that, just in case my clients are listening to this podcast, they might not want to get on calls with me because then, I might snitch on them on this podcast. And from where I come from, snitches get stitches. So let me just stick to what I know, which is talking about how to get your business profitable and enjoyable. Great. So we all understand that people come to the internet to get information. You know what I mean? They might be coming for entertainment or for information or to learn more about what is happening in their industry. But more specifically, and I think it's according to HubSpot, people are generally coming to the internet for 3 major reasons, okay? 1 is to learn something new. 2 is to actually be entertained. And 3 is to discover news or trends that are happening in the industry. So you want to make sure that your web content, your audios, your podcasts, your videos, your courses, everything reveal your message to your clients so that they're either learning something new or they're being entertained and they actually discover new things that are happening within their industry. Okay. So some people might be thinking, why do I have to bother putting content out there? Why do I have to bother when nobody reads what I'm putting out there, or nobody listens to or subscribes to my podcast or things of that nature? Well, I want to ask you, how is you being on the offense of creating content compared to you maybe cold calling potential clients and having them hang up in your face because they don't exactly know who you are or even care to know who you are, before they know what it is that you can do to help them? Or maybe you going out there and maybe spending hundreds of emails without even getting as much as, hey, thank you so much for reaching out with this information to us. Or maybe you're wasting thousands of dollars on ad spend without generating any qualified leads. Now, I'm talking, generally from the pain points that I hear most of my clients coming to me with, because they haven't created enough value or enough content upfront for people to even consider them as a service provider. So if you're a coach, consultant, and you're thinking, wait a minute, why am I not generating any leads? It's because you haven't led with value upfront. And you do understand that we, get paid in direct proportion to the value that we bring to the marketplace. But then you might be saying, hey, Prosper, I've been listening to your podcast for quite a while. I know exactly, how to put content out there. I've identified my market. I've clarified my message. And now I'm using blogging or I'm using my podcast to reach out to people, but it's still crickets on the other end of the, of the side. And I've got one word for you: patience. Okay. Nobody owes you anything. We're not owed attention by the people that we seek it off of. We really need to create for and relate to every step of the way, just so that, people get to know, like, and trust us, and we understand, and we have agreed, and it's a consensus and a truth universally known that people do business with those that they know, like, and trust. So you might be out there putting content out there and it feels like nobody wants to buy what you're selling, and maybe you actually rely on your business to maybe pay rent and put food on the table. I hear you. This is why I want to talk to you today about how you need to literally, put your content out there, and how to specifically do that so that you, my friend, can create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. One of the first things that I want you to realize is you need to reveal your core message a little bit slowly, okay? Let's first understand the human we are trying to speak to at any given moment, depending on how they arrived at your website. Okay, did they come through an ad? Did they come through SEO? Did they come through a social media post? Where were they? What's the frame of mind they're in? Are they looking for an instant answer? Are they looking for instant gratification? Okay, you need to understand your client a little bit more, just so that it makes sense for what it is that you are going to be putting out there for them. And one guilty, one thing that a lot of people are guilty of, okay? Did you notice I actually couldn't find the word for guilty? I was going to say guilty pleasure, but it's not a pleasure. You know what a lot of people are guilty of is they reveal their core message super fast, okay? Oftentimes when I arrive at a website, or maybe I'm listening to a podcast, and as soon as I read the first few lines, I literally find the answer in the information that I was looking for, especially in the first paragraph, or at least I get the gist of what the company does and what it is that they'll be able to help me with. And 99 out of 100, I really hope my brain would start getting in gear right now. 99% of the time, I often stop reading and hit the back button. Why is that? Because I've already found exactly what it is that I think this company does, and already made an assumption whether they can work with me or not. That's human behavior. We all have a 3-second attention span, right? We just scan through information, and we want to know whether this is the right place that we've arrived, or this is the right information that we are looking for, And in other words, maybe, the coach or consultant or the website owner would have actually revealed all the good stuff right at the top of the page and has given me no reason to keep reading. A lot of people are guilty of this. They put up all their best stuff right at the start, and people don't even have a reason to read anymore, with regards to what it is that they came for. Remember, these people came to learn something new. They came to be entertained, and they came to find out, new stuff that's happening in their industry. And if you put everything right at the top, or, right in your menu or things of that nature, there's not going to be any reason for them to click through to your whole website or to see what else it is that you're doing. Okay, so it's a catch-22. You might want to just catch people while they're in a rush, but also you want to really get them to stay on your website. And I'll be explaining to you why that is vital and why you need to be sparing with the information that you put right at the top, okay? And in fact, this is not just a matter of people that are not informed. Even I've made this error myself. You see, we're on a mission to create industry pages, for the industries that we're going to be working with, just so that we've got a really big online footprint. And when we started creating these pages, we used to put all the information about that page right at the top. So that was all the good stuff. That we were putting at the top of the page. And we found out that not a lot of people were actually engaging with our content. And maybe you need to check out why that is. It could be that you are delivering the farm right at the get-go, and people find no reason to keep engaging with your content, okay? So, like I was saying, I've made this error before, and I've even made this error with this podcast, because now what we're going to be talking about, and you probably have already made up your mind whether you want to stay for the rest of the 20 minutes that are left with this podcast, or if you're in a hurry, you pretty much have the gist of what this podcast is about at this point. You know what I mean? Well, with that said, the good stuff is actually yet to come. So that's why I didn't put it up front in the intro, and I started off laughing because maybe you came here to be entertained. Okay, so I've got your needs in check, and let's get on with what the actual podcast content is all about. So if you really want people to stay longer on your website, you need to hold back on some of the good stuff until a little bit later in either the post or in the podcast. Have you ever noticed with TV shows, they hint on what's going to happen on the episode, and then it's usually like the last scene, really. So you would have sat through the whole 35 minutes, and if you're watching crappy TV sitcoms that have, commercials every 5 minutes, you'd have watched all the commercials that they're actually selling with that TV show, okay? And what that does is it ensures that you keep watching. It ensures that when you leave the best for last, you keep people engaged, and they might be exposed to whatever links you want them to click on, or whatever information you want them to reveal to them a little bit later on. And yes, we do want people to stay on our pages. You know why? Because the longer they stay, the better it is for us. And I will be explaining to you why that is, all right? Yes, we want people to just quickly get the information that they need, but half of the time when they get that info, they're just going to click away, and there's no way of bringing them back, all right? So if somebody stays for maybe 10 seconds on the website and then they leave, you might have lost them forever. And there's no way of bringing them back, because they might have even forgotten your brand, or all the stuff that you can possibly do to them would not have been seen. All right. People don't have time to get to know you, on the first date, you know what I mean? Or the first click. All right. So if people would have clicked, through to your website, maybe from a social media post or from Google, you want to make sure that you really take them on a journey so that they get to know, like, and trust you in some shape or form. Because if they just get the gist of what you're saying right from the get-go, they would not have clicked on any of the links of the products or services or any subscriptions that you offer, or any call to actions that you might have for them. And you keep wondering, yes, you're getting traffic to your website, but nobody's converting. Okay. So this is part of what we also help our clients with. It's called a conversion, conversion rate optimization. We look at what it is, what content are you giving up front that, get people to stick around on your website, and eventually, follow through with a call to actions. All right. And the second thing is not necessarily just for your own benefit. Even Google takes notice when people stay longer on the website. All right. So we should preface this and say that the reason why Google actually ranks your website is because you have the right information for the right question that would have been asked by anyone who's coming off of Google. All right. So for Google to save face and maintain their reputation, they obviously would want to make sure that if they're going to be sending somebody to your website, there is all the information and all the answers they could ever seek for. That, obviously raises the profile of Google in the face of the inquirer. So if somebody shows up on your website and only stays for 10 seconds, Google will notice. And yes, Google does take track. It keeps score. All right. And it tracks how long people stay on your pages, especially on your website. It's called bounce rate. So if you have a really, really high bounce rate, which is people just show up on your website 10 seconds and then they bounce off, Google automatically thinks that your website is not relevant, and that affects your ranking. All right. So on an SEO front, yes, you might have the best whiz-bang website and things of that nature, but if the first 10 seconds are not captivating your audience to stay and want more, and learn more about your website, that is going to definitely affect your rankings. All right. So if somebody leaves your website within a few seconds of arriving, Google automatically concludes that you probably don't even offer that much value. And it's not their fault, okay? You are dealing with robots, and robots don't have the empathy of even coming across and asking you, hey, where else is the rest of the information? So if people can't find what they're looking for within the 10 seconds that they've showed up to your website, grand opening, grand closing. All right. So in other words, you should be working hard to keep your readers engaged, your audience also captivated, especially your readers on your blog posts or the pages that you have on your website for as long as possible. And one way for you to do this is maybe just try and avoid sharing your core message within the first few lines. All right. Even in relationships, it's like premature. I'm not going to finish that word. You know what I mean? Oh, you asking to go to, get laid on the first date. All right. You want to reveal your good stuff slowly. Okay. And, there's yet another complication before we actually get into the good stuff. Now, can you see? This is already halfway through the podcast and we haven't even gone into the meaty parts. I mean, obviously, you can use the information that I've been giving you already, but there's more. Wait, there's more. All right? Let's say you're writing a blog post and, you may, be showing your readers just a snippet of your homepage or a bit of information about what it is that you do before they actually click to the full post. Now, this is called the meta description, all right? So this meta description is what takes them off of the Google search page, okay? So this means that this meta description, it needs to be interesting and compelling enough to actually maximize a lot of readers to then click through. So your journey with them starts in the search, engine page. All right, the search engine results page. It's called the SERP, SERP. All right, it sounds a bit tricky, but if you reach out to yours truly or any SEO expert, they'll be able to help you out with the meta titles that actually start driving traffic or any listeners to your podcast. And you need to let these readers know what your page is about and what sort of information they are about to engage in. So you just need to whet their appetite. Don't give the whole farm in your meta descriptions, okay? And you shouldn't reveal too much in the first few lines as soon as somebody lands onto any of your pages or on your blog post. But you should say enough to make sure that that meta description is intriguing, and also that first couple of paragraphs are intriguing, because every paragraph buys you, attention to the next, and the more they read your stuff, the more they click through, to your products, services, or whatever it is that you might have going on there. Okay, so how do you all do this? You want to hook the reader, intrigue your reader, but do not give your whole game away. All right. At the end of the day, what we just want to do is give enough information for them to actually get started, on getting to know, like, and trust us. Okay. So it's very important to just put, these meta descriptions so that it actually differentiates you from the competition in the marketplace there. And that will be giving a good reason for your clients or your prospects to keep reading. And when they then show up on your website, reveal, the information a little bit slowly, a little at a time. And as you would have noticed at the beginning of this podcast, I did mention that there is 3 reasons why people actually come to read or get to learn from us. It's got nothing to do with our brands or what it is that we're doing. Okay. You need to be writing this content or creating this podcast more on the customer's perspective. Okay. Because at the end of the day, people are always thinking of them first. What's in it for me? Okay. So that's the only thing that interests people is anything that affects them. All right. And it's something that we already know. Somebody's name, somebody's business, somebody's industry is what they are always looking for. So truly knowing value from the customer's perspective obviously requires a lot of time and research. You need to be speaking to these people on a daily basis, like I do. I started this conversation by saying I'm actually using this podcast to snitch on my prospects or on my clients. And by me talking to this microphone right now and to you, I'm actually getting to understand what exactly my clients want, and I'm then giving it to them, and it helps me just really, really clarify my message. So without you knowing what your customer values, you wouldn't be able to write specifically something that intrigues them, that will help them to keep reading, which when they keep reading, it then makes it easy for them to click through to your products and services or things of that nature, you know? And trust me, it's not the same thing as you just doing market research or just maybe asking people once, they come to your website, how did you find out about us? You need to have already had an intricate understanding of what it is that they're looking for by the time they then show up to you, okay? Nobody's specifically coming for your training, your information, your expertise, or your paid speaking gigs. People are coming to have somebody solve their problems. Do you intricately understand what their problems are? You know, so the most important advice that you actually get from me on this podcast is you really must know what your customer is trying to accomplish in order for you to create the content that they'll find valuable. Where are they? What are they facing right now? And what do they need help with immediately? And that way, they will obviously be listening to your podcast. They'll obviously be reading your content, your content and things like that. Think about this. This is why blog posts or podcasts that are sort of like how-to guides, checklists, or, things that are like a list for, top tools and, strategies are very, very popular because people are seeking ways to get stuff done. Right? If you are helping people solve a problem or accomplish an important task, that content is going to be valuable to them. And the longer they stay on that web page trying to figure out how to do X, Y, and Z, Google is looking at that as value and they're calculating your bounce rate used on that, okay? So you really need to understand where your customer is, especially if you've got a buyer's journey, okay? Are they at the awareness stage where they're just getting to know about the problem that they are facing, and you put content in front of them that puts them closer to getting the solution, all right? And if your solution needs a bit of consideration, you might put up content that helps them make that, sort of decision, or actually compare with other products that are on the marketplace, just so that it makes it easy for them to then make the decision, all right? And then there's a stage where the customer actually starts to engage with the business, all right? Are you making it easy for people to contact you from your homepage, from your blog posts, or are you making it easy for people to download stuff that they can utilize, in order to further get to understand the problem that they're facing? And pretty much after that, it's purchase time, okay? People then buy, you know why? Because you've given them enough information. They're fully confident in themselves. They're fully confident in the solution, and they're fully confident in you. All those confidence needs to be checked off in their proverbial checklist. Are they confident in the solution that you're giving them? Are they confident in you being the provider of that solution? And are they confident in themselves to actually execute on what is expected of them when they buy that solution off of you? Half of the time, we are not able to convert clients on the website simply because they are not convinced they can actually do what we're asking off of them. And pretty much after that, you now get loyalty and advocacy. If you give enough people information to talk about you at a barbecue, then obviously they will shout from the top of their lungs, how good of a service they're receiving from you. Okay? But let me tell you something. A lot of us are just creating content in our, buyer's journey that just stays at the top of the funnel, which is the awareness stage. And that's not your fault, because we are always thinking that people are seeking to get to know us. right? We're not going further to go into the like us. We're not going further into the trust us. And that then makes it hard for people to convert with us. So with your blog post, you want to make sure that you reveal your core message slowly and people get to know, like, and trust you just predicated on the information that you're putting out there. Okay? Because when a user becomes aware that they aware of a need or a problem that they're facing, they usually turn to the internet for information. And if you've got that content around for them to start their journey with you, then you, my friend, are going to inherit, obviously, whatever funds they have on their credit card. So you want to create content that actually ranks highly in the SERPs, which is the search engine results page, and make sure you're not giving all the information, but giving context in order for them to read your stuff, okay? And when they come to your website, you want to make sure that they stick around a little bit longer. That way, Google actually looks and views at your information as valuable, and they'll continuously send traffic to to your website and things like that. So you want to be very aware of what problems your customers are facing right now, and you need to also have the solutions to help your customers solve these problems, okay, as easily and as clearly as possible. And that way you can actually establish your company as the preferred expert, and you can grow your blog posts and also your listenership depending on what media you're reaching out to that audience from, okay? So yes, if you understand those things, that people are just looking to learn something new, people are looking to be entertained, and people are looking to discover maybe news and trends that are happening in their industry, it will definitely put you above anybody else who's just spraying and praying with their content out there. And as soon as people show up on your website, you really want to take them on a journey, have an understanding of where they are in their buyer's journey. Are they in the awareness phase? Are they considering, solutions? Have they got intent to actually buy what it is that you're providing? Are they in the market to literally buy immediately as soon as they come to your website? And have you given them information to then spray out there to their to their friends or people that they know? Because I kid you not, as an entrepreneur, marketing is just one aspect of you running a successful business. You know what I mean? You go from hiring and managing new staff, balancing books, driving growth, and a whole lot more other things that you have to look at, while keeping a head above your neck, so to speak. And it all feels like a constant balancing act where you're pulled in multiple different directions. And at the end of the day, I can understand you. I hear you. All right. Your real goal is just to help your clients. Okay. And you just want to spend as much time as possible changing people's lives and solving people's problems. You don't want to spend countless hours each week navigating this whole complex world of online marketing. And you certainly don't want to spend yet another minute on the phone having to beg people to hire your services. If you create your content in such a way that you're having, the needs of your customer in sight, and you're looking at your customer's perspective, you, my friend, will never have to worry where your next dollar or income or revenue is going to be coming from. All right. So if you'd like help to take advantage of how to actually create content that resonates and that actually converts, and to make sure that you're revealing your message to everybody else who shows up on your website, and it's actually being recorded by Google as valuable because you have a very little bounce rate, I encourage you to click the link that came with this podcast today, or reach out and have a chat with me so that we can have a look at what it is that you're actually doing. I speak to a lot of coaches and consultants every single day, and like I said at the start of this podcast is just me snitching on what people are telling me their problems are, and it's also used as a way for me to research information and what it is that I can do to actually help people by actually helping them. So in other words, these podcasts is doing exactly what I was talking about, which means I'm coming from the perspective of the customer who is wondering, why is nobody converting on my website? Simple. You haven't, really articulated how you can help people, or you have done that too early and prematurely that people are bouncing off of your website. So if you want to, you'd like our help taking advantage of these, challenging aspects of converting your clients into, prospects into clients that pay, stay, and refer, I encourage you to come around and let's have a chat. Okay, we'll work hands-on with you and develop a strategic plan, and then we'll deep dive so we can work through, first of all, for you to gain your ideal client clarity. Okay, because that's important. If you know who exactly you're writing for, it makes it super easy for you to snitch on them on your podcast or on your blog post or on your social media, because then other people or other clients going through the same thing will definitely spot that content and raise their hand and say, yep, that sounds like you're talking about me. All right. And then we'll then put out, strategic messaging, because we've clarified your message. If you know who you're speaking to, you know what exactly to say to them, when and how. And as I've elaborated, if you understand the buyer's journey, where somebody is on that buying journey, it's easy for you to put content that will definitely move them across the line. And then once we've done that, the only thing you need to be doing is putting up your consulting or coaching fees. Let me tell you, because you are now in a different category, or a category of one, not of wine. Okay, I'm not talking about getting drunk here. All right. And then we'll look at your fees, we'll look at your pricing, we'll look at your business model, and we'll optimize it so that you can actually start having a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And I'll then definitely help you set up your marketing engine so that you can generate consistent leads that pay, stay, and refer. I can't wait to see what you do with this information. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au.